I'm here to smell like sheep. And
Right.
I adopted the mentality. One pastor I worked for, he said, shepherds smell like sheep, and I adopted it. I'll tell you, if you're with a person at their lowest moment in life and you don't abandon them in that moment, you can garner a friend for them. Maybe drop the idea of you being responsible for carrying the gospel of Jesus to the world. Why don't you just reduce yourself down to taking the gospel of Jesus to your world?
Oh, wow. That's good.
Because your world needs to be impacted like the way the world.
Hey, and welcome to Winning Conversations. We are so glad you are here today. I'm joined with a couple really great guys. I got my husband, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Excited.
Thanks for hosting again with me.
Yeah.
You're another guest host.
Regular guest host.
A regular guest host. But we're excited and we're honored to have Pastor Joseph Canfield with us today. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Good.
Superb. Thank you.
Thanks for coming down.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's nice to be local enough to make the drive. So
Yeah.
that was great.
It's great. I didn't realize how local you were, but you're right here in the DFW Metroplex, aren't you?
Just a little bit to the north from here. That's right.
Well, we're glad you're here. We're glad you came to our table because you have quite the story. You've done everything. You're a minister of the gospel. You've been a youth pastor. You're an author. You're a counselor, businessman. Like, what else? What do you not do?
There's a lot that I don't do very well. My resume says I'm not real smart, but I can lift heavy things. So it's about what it is. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed most of the time. So I rely on my bride to help me with that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we're glad to have you. You've been ministering a few times here at Heritage of Faith, so you're kind of a newer face to some of the people that are here. What is your connection with Pastor Justin? How did you get to know him?
Oh, goodness. I was the youth pastor for the Copelan ministry and Eagle Mountain International Church back in the mid-'90s starting, and then we were there for 5 years. And in that tenure, in that season, that window of time, the Sabels founded and started the
Heritage
JSMI. Heritage of Faith came after.
The Bible school.
They started the Bible school
Yeah,
first.
Right.
That's right.
And my bride and I met my bride in Kansas City, that's our hometown.
Right.
And we moved to Dallas, or to Irving, shortly after we married, to come and work for a guy that I went to school with. And it didn't take us very long to realize I love him. He's a good friend in a long time, but it wasn't a dovetail fit. And rather than the friction costing the relationship, we felt it was prudent on our part to just go ahead and say, hey, before we lose our friendship, let's just maybe go someplace else. And so my wife was 12 when her parents gave their heart to the Lord. And as a result, started traveling down here to the Southwest Believers Convention. So she, from that time forward, through her teen years, traveled to the Southwest Believers Convention. So she was familiar with all of the ministries that we're associated with, the Coplans and the Sabels. And then I grew up, I think the first time I ever saw Kenneth Copelan was probably 1978 in a movie theater in Omaha, Nebraska.
Wow.
And
I
remember falling asleep on a sticky movie theater floor that he rented. He rented a movie theater and hosted
Oh, wow.
And I fell asleep on a Coke-stained floor,
Yeah.
And so all that to say that it fostered the natural decision for us to go to Eagle Mountain.
I got you. Yeah.
And we'd seen it on TV our whole lives, and we'll just until we find out what next looks like, we'll go
That's where we're
there.
going. Yeah.
Right.
And I think we'd been there about 3 weeks, and then one of the employees here, a man named Scott Tripp, called me and said, hey, they need a youth pastor at that church. He said, I think you should go apply. And we applied believing it would be a long shot, knowing probably that it would be a long shot.
They got probably a good number of applicants.
I think they told me after we were hired, they had over 500 applicants come in.
Gosh.
Because there was an 18-month window with no youth minister there.
Oh, goodness.
So they had just an associate pastor who didn't like teenagers. I love him. He's in heaven now. He went to heaven a few years ago. But he just was a stopgap.
Right.
And he knew it, and they started an interview process. And we're minus a youth minister for 18 months. 6 of those months, my wife and I interviewed, and we put our app in, and we turned in our first application at the beginning of November 1995. Had our first interview, I think, in November, but we didn't get started until June of '06, or June of '96 rather. We went 6 months of interviews, and every time we would learn in the next interview process, well, you've made it this far, we've edited out somebody else.
Right.
You know, if you made it here, there's been guys that have been cut behind you, but you're still going. You know, it's almost like a reality show at this point. You could have made a reality show out of
You're
it.
like, did you get a rose this time?
Yeah. I don't know what that means. But yes, we'd go 2 months and not hear anything.
Wow.
And we would make it up the ladder, and then we interviewed with Pastor George and Terry, and they hired us, and we became the youth ministers. I think the next year or 2 years later, they founded JSMI that year, because our mutual friend that works here, he was with my ministry in Kansas City. Scott Tripp was with me in Kansas City. He was my right hand at my little youth group in my little church up there, and that's where I met my wife. And he called and said, hey, but he's the one that opened up the door for it. And Pastor Justin had moved here, I think the next year. I think he came the second year that JSMI
I think that's right. Yeah.
was founded. I could be wrong on that. But JSMI encouraged the students to go find a home church, get plugged in, be involved. And Pastor Justin chose our youth group and it's a drive, you know, from here to there. But every Wednesday night.
Yeah.
My wife and I were blessed over our time, because when we got hired on June 6th, 1996. And everybody that had been doing the youth ministry at that point said, "Oh, thank God they got a youth pastor. We're out of here." You know, and they abandoned us.
Been holding it down.
We literally went in 7 days from one Wednesday to the next. We had to bring together a worship team. We had to build a team. We had to build, and at that point there were only about 55 kids. It had gone from a 350 kid youth group down to about 55 kids. It had really, 18 months, and a guy that doesn't really want to do it, it's going to suffer.
Yeah.
And but we built a good team. Pastor Justin kind of dovetailed into that the next year. And you know how it is when you meet somebody where you get chemistry.
Yeah.
And connection.
Right.
And he and I hit it off just fantastic. And my wife, I married a ridiculously good cook. She is the premier pastor's wife. She is and has been my whole career. And it wasn't uncommon. We would have our team over on Tuesday nights for dinner. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes we'd focus around the youth ministry and the team and what we were building, what we were doing, the direction we were going on. Sometimes we'd just come just to eat and just to be together. Absolutely. We wanted to connect with our team. And Pastor Justin started coming to that. And the Copelands invited my wife and I to become, be the youth ministers at the conventions. And so now you're ministering to about 1,500 teenagers a day for 6 days. Yeah. And you're having 5 services a day, and you got to come up with
content.
That is a lot of time to occupy 1,500 teenagers. Yeah. And Justin was part of our team. He and I would write skits. That's what he told me. And sometimes he and I would stay up so late. He would just say, "I'm just going to stay here. Is that okay?" Yeah. And he'd crash on our couch. And this is back before he was married, in his single days. Right. And but that's how we got to know one another. That's cool. He was part of I don't want to say this arrogantly, it was the best team of people I've ever been around.
That's awesome. Yeah, I believe it.
Was that group of people. Yeah. And there's a JSMI grad, his name is Dan Hooley, and he and I are very, very good friends to this day. He's one of my best friends in the world. Very close with his family. Named one of my daughters after his mother, if that says anything. Oh, wow. And but he told me, I think about a year ago, he said, "Joe, there's never been a team that was together like that since then." Because the friendships that were there then, I would say percentage-wise, 80 to 90% of those friendships are still in existence today. Many of those people got married. I think Anita and I have had about 37 couples meet and get married under our ministry since we've been together, with about 100 children born to those couples. Yeah. But if you foster an environment of connectivity, right, it's relaxed and authentic, you can build that.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what made it. What was the magic that was in it? Is it the unity that you built? Is it the single-mindedness? Is it the personalities God just brought together the right way? What was the right thing that made that team so incredible?
That's a great question. I would say without the experience of the 2 years in Kansas City at the small church there, where I built a good team there too. God brought me a good team, Scott being one of them.
Yeah.
I was grateful to have. At the end of the day, our camp that we're all familiar with has had a practice of, we'll call it the touch not the anointed.
Yeah.
Right.
Like my first 2 Wednesdays as the youth pastor at that church, they come in and they put me back in a room about this big that eventually became my office.
Uh-huh.
And they could say, well, okay, we'll come get you when it's time to minister. And on the 3rd Wednesday, I said, look, if I'm not ready to minister when I walk in here, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So let me be out with the kids.
Right.
I'm here to smell like sheep. And
Right.
I adopted the mentality. One pastor I worked for, he said, shepherds smell like sheep. And I adopted that from him. And I believe that you should be with people.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you, if you're with a person at their lowest moment in life and you don't abandon them in that moment, you can garner a friend forever. And I didn't have a lot of people that were at low points, but they saw that I was willing to do that.
Right.
And so we smelled like them, went with them. I think Anita and I had, in our youth ministry, we had 37 high schools in the Metroplex that
Right.
came to our youth group.
Right. Yeah.
Eventually, at the end of our 5-year tenure, we had 37 high schools. And I would go and have lunch at schools around the city every week. And 37 schools, it's almost a school a week for the entire school year.
Yeah.
You're in a different high school. And you might be meeting with 5 kids or 2 kids or, I had 2 boys that would drive from Louisville. I had 2 girls that would drive from Tyler. They would drive 2 hours every Wednesday night to be at our youth group. Yeah. And we had,
As a dedication.
well, a good church is, I've always said it's like a good dentist. You find one that doesn't hurt you, it's worth the drive,
Yeah.
How many women will travel for a good hairstylist? Someone that they
Right.
find that they really knows how to color their hair, cut their hair, and if that girl moves to a different salon, well, guess what? You travel with her to that salon, and
Yeah.
we'll drive for all sorts of other things we value.
Right.
And if you assign value to a Wednesday night place, then we had 3 girls that we called the triplets. They went to 3 different high schools. One of them went to Crowley here right just down the road. We had 2 more all over. Those 3 girls today one of them lives in Canada, one lives in Australia, one of them lives here in Fort Worth. They are still very, very close friends today. They named kids after one another. They started having kids together. They got married all together. And so we just built an environment where there was a freedom and a liberty and I'm not saying there's not a purpose sometimes for the touch not the anointed, that whole be ready, be with God. There's a mission to it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should divorce from it completely. What I am saying is that there needs to be a time when, especially at a sub-level of ministry, like youth ministry or children's ministry, where you're a little more involved
Right.
in the people's lives as well as you can. It's hard to navigate when you get a bunch of people pulling on you.
Right.
Well, like you talked about that being authentic, and from your messages, that being here that you've preached here, talking about the love of God, like it's even unbelievers, I feel like a lot know the love chapter of 1 Corinthians 13, but actually like doing it and so being able to you're ministering by showing yes, this is how you actually do believe the best. Like, no, you're actually not going to keep track of a wrong done to you. You
know what Pastor George told me the day he hired me? Because it got down to 18 months of this other guy, this interim guy.
Right.
And then it came down to this interim guy was a guitar player for Brother Copelan. And Brother Copelan was taking a convention to Australia. And he said, Joe, I'm going to Australia with the Copelands next week. Would you take my place at the pulpit? By that time, we'd been volunteering in the youth ministry. My wife and I didn't want to contaminate the process. We never told the kids we were interviewing. We never told the kids that we were looking for the job.
Sure.
Because I didn't want to have, if God was going to do it, I wanted God to do it. I knew he didn't need my help. We were just volunteering.
Yeah.
And by that time, we'd been there a couple of months, I think. And so the kids felt comfortable. Here's this guy that's here every week. He's going to preach to us.
Yeah.
Well, then the next week, another guy came and ministered. And then the week after that, another guy. And it took about 4 guys to come in to realize, these guys are my competition. You know? Wait a minute. I would have preached a better sermon if I would have known. You know, why did I have to be first? I didn't want to be first. I want to be last. You know, that's how I felt.
I would have studied more.
Yeah, I would have studied more.
Yeah.
I would have done something differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I opened that Wednesday with a very true sentence. That night that I ministered, I just said, I love Wednesday nights. It's my favorite night of the week. I love Wednesday. I love being with these kids. I love being with you guys. I'm so thankful to be here. George told me when he hired me, he said, when I watched your tape and I heard you say that at the beginning of your sermon, I told Terry, that's the man I want to hire right there.
Oh, wow.
The guy that loves being here, loves these teenagers and loves being here. And that ended up being the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Got you the job.
Yeah, it did.
The rest
Brought
was
you
history.
the job. Brought you a connection with Pastor Justin.
It did.
Seville's a little bit more.
Yep. Brother Seville was very good to us. Our church, he yielded so many things to our church. When we founded our church, he gave us a sound system. He invested in us financially.
He's one of the most generous men I've ever known.
Literally one of the most
Totally.
benevolent men
And,
I've ever come across.
and unassuming about it. Like, I don't even know if, I mean, heaven records the amount of giving he did.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he didn't need to make a show of it. He always just gave from his heart. Whether it was a small church or big, it didn't matter. A person, his heart of generosity is always what impressed me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And anybody that had the privilege of being around him
Right.
and witnessing him do that while he was here on the earth understands that truth right there. We were here, I was here a decade ago because my bass player at my church was the Sabelle's contractor
Okay.
and built a lot of the stuff and built a lot of their home and did a lot of their remodeling. And so but my friend Roger called me one day. He said, I'm working in our driveway this week. I need some extra hands. I'll pay you if you want to come down. Would you help me work in their driveway this week?
Yeah.
And I said, sure. So I came down, and I don't know if I should tell the story or not, but
Go for it.
Dr. Sabelle came out, and I'm in his driveway sweating in a 100-degree day. And he says, he just comes out and he said, Joe, how you doing? I said, well, Dr. Sabelle, I'm doing really well. Good to see you. Shake his hand a little bit. He said, Joe, where's your church at right now? I said, well, we're up in Keller. And I said, we're on Denton Highway up there. He said, well, I think I'm going to give you some money before you leave you in today here. So I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to go pray about it. He was gone for the whole day, the whole afternoon. And he came back out at the end of the evening as we were kind of getting ready to leave. And he put a nice check in our hands for our church. And before that, he gave us probably $20,000 or $30,000 worth of sound. I mean, he really invested in our church over the years.
It was a significant seed.
In a secondary way, though. And again, no one would ever know that man did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one would ever know he made those choices and made those decisions. But I know.
Yeah. And impacted your life. It impacted your ministry and the countless people that it impacted
That's
beyond that.
the fruit.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
How it affects me is irrelevant. How it affects the people that I get to affect, there's where the relevance is born.
I really loved his analogy about how many apples are in an apple. Like the apple tree, all of the seeds and how they multiply, the multiplication of the seed going into the ground, creating a tree. How many more trees do those apples produce? Like that seed, significant to you, really had a multiplication impact on the kingdom of God.
Absolutely.
I mean, the number of people that you've impacted with your life. I mean, that seed is one example, but all of the different ways. It's always impressive to me.
Yeah. And so just, for what it's worth, I don't know, I like to brag about him a lot, if I can. And, without being prideful or arrogant, but he is, again, don't never refer to anybody that goes to heaven as a was.
Yeah.
He still it is. He just is someplace else.
Right.
He is
Just is not here.
the highest, healthiest, and happiest version of himself in heaven right now.
Yeah.
We get to be the secondary beneficiaries of his calling. And it's incumbent upon us to steward that responsibility and to do things just like this. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I'm grateful for the connection here.
Yeah. And I think that you've walked that out. I mean, I about halfway through this book, I can hardly put it down, to be honest with you. And this is a book you wrote about your childhood, correct?
Yeah, much of my life,
Baby boy Copelan. Did I say it right? Finding
Copelan, yeah.
Copelan, if I pronounce it the right accent. Finding a true story of finding fatherhood. Will you tell us a little bit about why you wrote that book?
Well, I wrote it to honor my mother.
Yeah, she's an incredible woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very phenomenal woman. And she had gotten a hold of, she grew up Methodist, loved the Lord, lived a hard life. My last name, Canfield, broke her. He hurt her. He damaged her.
Yeah.
She came home from her father's passing. Her dad died in Denver. My grandfather, I never met. He'd gone before I was born. And she found evidence of another woman in her home upon her return from collecting her father's remains.
Wow.
And so it was just a broken season
Yeah.
for her, and it really broke her as a person. It launched her on a journey of falling into God rather than running from him, rather than blaming him, running to him.
Yeah.
And she stumbled upon right at the beginning of what you and I would call the Jesus movement of the late 60s and early 70s.
Okay.
It manifested and began on the West Coast and then migrated across the world. It really started in
Right.
Southern California, went worldwide. By 1974, the Jesus culture was affecting
Right.
secular music. You know, I mean, you got the Doobie
Right.
Brothers singing "Jesus is just all right with me," and you got
Yeah.
George Harrison making songs
Right.
about the impact of Jesus in his life, and you know, so you saw it happening.
Right. Right.
But she was listening to Kenneth Hagin reel-to-reel tapes, and it changed her. And then she was a nurse at a hospital in north central Kansas, in a tiny little town of about 3,500 people, and Belleville, Kansas, just south of the Nebraska border. And I was born in that hospital. Last Sunday was my birthday. I turned 57 last week, July 6th.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is a good birthday present for me right here. And I was born to a 17-year-old girl and who did not want me. Parents didn't want me. They rejected me. Had abortion been legal, I think they probably would have found a way to dispose of me. They were staunch Catholics, for which I'm grateful, because that is really what defended me in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what kept you. Yeah.
It is. They told me that after I met them. I had the Lord set me up on a Thursday night at midnight back in 1999. Set me straight up. And he said, "I need you to find your birth mother." And that was the very infant days of the internet.
You're right.
And my wife, being an internet sleuth, even back in the AOL days where you shoved your disc in and
Right.
you waited for the dial-up, but my wife, through some investigative process, was able to locate the birth mother. We called her the night before my 51st birthday, or the night before my 31st birthday,
Yeah.
and said, we
Believe this is who you are.
yeah.
I read that chapter. It's incredible, the love that you were able to extend to her. I think there's a lot of women who find themselves in situations probably similar to your birth mother and struggle with that. So it's really incredible to me that you loved her even in the midst of all of that. That's incredible.
She makes it hard today. I'm going to tell you, she's just different. She's different. I don't have a relationship with her. I have some. It's very minimal, but we don't have the same belief systems. We don't have the same political systems. We don't have the same values.
Yeah.
It's just unshared value systems. As a consequence, there's no chemistry.
Yeah.
There's no connection. I miss her and she misses me. It's just friction.
Yeah.
But I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy when I was 2
Right.
days old. I was born and with tremors. I was born 6 weeks premature. I was born just under 5 pounds. And I trembled and shook and was having seizures. And so they diagnosed me with severe neurological damage and recommended he needs to be institutionalized. He just needs to be in an orphanage. He's going to be a mental retard. He probably won't walk. He won't talk. He just needs to be disposed of and put in a corner. My mom was the delivery room nurse.
Yeah.
And so when you hear me say my mom, I have a mother and I have a woman who gave birth to me. And they are two different people.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
And my mother was the delivery room nurse. So she was there when I was born. She brought me into the world. She took care of me. And for the next 8 weeks, I spent 8 weeks in an incubator. They thought I might be infectious, so they separated me from the rest of the babies. I didn't get to stay in the
Nursery,
the
NICU.
nursery. I didn't get to stay in. There was no NICU in Belleville, Kansas in 1968. There was no NICU. NICU wasn't even a thing yet.
Yeah.
But she would take care of me every day. And I would have these tremors and these trembles, and she would try to feed me. And I wasn't taking milk. I would take orange juice, but I wouldn't take milk. And so it was just a weird story that she tells me. And over that 8-week window, it began to manifest in her heart as a single 40-year-old. She was 40, almost 40, 39, with 4 kids.
Yeah, you already had numbers reading. She already had 4.
She had 4 on her own. I had one brother in Kansas and one brother in Kansas State. I mean, she had 2 in college already.
Oh, wow.
At 40.
Yeah.
And
Newly divorced.
not newly. She'd been divorced a decade, I think, before she brought me. So she'd been on her own for a while and had gone through a couple of other husbands in that decade.
Yeah.
And, she just was broken.
Yeah.
Canfield broke her. And she began to come in and just secretly speak life over my body. She began to pray and just really believed that God wanted her to bring me home. So she tried to go to the state and adopt me, and the state told her no. She was denied. Well, there was supposed to be a family that was supposed to adopt me, and when I was born sick, they left me.
Right.
So I was officially abandoned at the hospital.
Wow.
And I was getting ready to be institutionalized and just be in an orphanage and be abandoned and just disposed of. And the judge told her no. She came in and she met the birth family. The birth family got hunted down by the hospital and said, "You got a baby."
Yeah, somebody got to take it.
Somebody got to take this baby. And they said, "There's a nurse here that wants him." And so she met at a diner at the border of Kansas and Nebraska.
Oh, wow.
And that family signed over what they call custodial rights.
Right.
So I've never been legally adopted. But she gave me the name Joseph Paul Canfield because it gave me continuity with my siblings, even though I'm not related to Canfield. I was in the Canfield family, so I was assigned that name. And that's how I got that name. And she told me when I was 16, when it was time to get a driver's license, "You've always known you're adopted. I've never hid that from you." She hadn't. But what I have hidden is that the adoption was never legal. And you don't have a name. You don't have a social security number. You don't have a birth certificate. And you can't get a driver's license. This is when I'm 15 years old.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you and I have to go to court, and you have to become Joseph Paul Canfield.
Yeah.
And we have to finish this process that I started 15 years ago so you can, because it was time for me to get a driver's license, and I couldn't get a driver's license without a name and a social security number. So that's how and so I went, the only thing my mom ever had is that birth card right there. That's my official birth card on the cover of that book.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's all she had. So that's how she got me into the school systems. That's how she bullied me into the school systems with that. "No, he is my son. Look at this card." But it just says "Baby Boy Paul," ma'am. But I don't care what it says. He's my son. And that's literally how she got me into the school.
Oh, wow.
She sounds like an incredible woman, and I read about her, what you wrote about her as a nurse. As a nurse, I relate to that. I think, you can go in and put your life aside and care for who you're in front of and have an assignment on your life for that day to care for that patient, that person. And I saw that in her as I read, like she was pouring her life into you even before she realized that you were going to be hers. That's an incredible gift.
I say this about nurses, young lady, and I'll tell this to you, that and I'm sure you know this, a nurse is a calling.
100%, yeah.
I think almost all jobs can be a calling. You can be called to do anything. You can be called to be an electrician. You can be called to be anything.
Right.
But a nurse is a calling. I lost my colon back in 2009. I almost died. I had to sign a will and say goodbye to my family. It was a really, really rough time for us. And those nurses that took care of me that week, my church took care of them. At one point, I had a room full of nurses. They came down, they got Chick-fil-A, they got cookies, and they got Starbucks. And they said, "Who are you? No one ever takes care of us this way. Who takes care of a guy like this? Who takes care of the nurses?"
Right.
Yeah. But all my church would come and say, "That's our pastor. You take care of him. Make sure he gets good care."
Right.
But, I think yours is a calling that God has given you, and I am so thankful that you fulfill it, you function in it, you live in it.
Praise the Lord.
Because you are earning something in people's lives that very few people earn, and that is a permanent memory. You are earning a permanent memory in a patient's life, because when you demonstrate your care, your compassion, your connection to somebody who's hurting and sick, you work in an ICU ward. So you see a lot of challenge. You see a lot of death, a lot of departure,
Right.
a lot of fear.
Yeah. I think that's what your mom saw.
You're that moment of peace for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That when you touch someone's hand and you give them love, maybe when they don't have family there, maybe when they
Right.
don't have family available and they're alone, you're that moment for them. And that's that gift. That scripture says a man's gift goes ahead of him, brings him forth.
That's right.
The gifts and the callings of God are irrevocable. Romans 11:29 says he's going to put that in you, and you earn a permanent memory. People will not forget that. They're so grateful for it.
What an honor that is. I think that that's an honor that a lot of people get the opportunity to carry wherever they're called to be.
Yes.
Right.
But I thank you for
So-
walking into yours as a nurse, for
Praise
sure.
God. I am thankful.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for God's divine providence in putting me in that role. 'Cause-
And I mean, we
Yeah.
talked about like that. How many apples come out of like, one
Right.
apple. Like for your mom, I mean, the way she stepped up for you, and then then your story came here, and all those leaders that you guys raised up, that team you had. I mean, that's all
She
all
left the
credit to
earth.
her too.
She left the earth 3 years. She died of COVID. She was 94. It was a contest her 94-year-old body just couldn't defend against.
Yeah.
yeah, we saw one of
When I went into her room, I said, she had the mask on, and not the oxygen mask. They were pumping 15 liters into her, trying to keep her alive. And I said, "Are you ready to go see Jesus?" She brought her mask down to me, and she couldn't speak, but she could communicate.
Yeah.
She nodded. And I said, don't stay. Don't fight it.
Yeah.
Just go. I said, I'm nothing without you. I'm nothing. I don't have my wife. I don't have my children. I don't have my cars, my clothes, my kids, my home. I have nothing without you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've never touched anybody with the love of God, the Word of God, the power of God, or the mercy of God that you won't get credit for. That credit's never going to be mine.
Yeah.
That credit's always going to belong to you. And I said to her, Mama, go home and get your reward.
Yeah.
And we were going to fly out that night but snows just kept us in Kansas City. It grounded our flight. So we ended up taking our rental car and we drove back to the Metroplex that night. But then my sister called and said, look, she's leaving. So I caught a flight the next day and went back to Kansas City.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And got to, she'd been transferred across the street to the hospice unit of that hospital. And I walked in. I knew the second I came in the room, she was leaving.
Yeah.
I knew she wasn't staying. And talked to the hospice nurse, and I said, she's going to leave tonight. And the nurse said, yeah, Pastor, she's going to leave tonight. Took my sister downtown Kansas City for a Chinese dinner, and we got a call at the meal.
Yeah.
Just like my mom had to leave on her own without us in the room. But
It's funny people do that. They sometimes
they don't want to burden people.
They don't. Yeah.
And they would rather go on their own.
Yeah.
And the other people like to be insulated by their. My dad, when he left, my dad left 3 weeks earlier. Now, my father I never met. We'll get into that story in a little bit. But I
Right.
met him through a DNA test, and he left
Super cool.
He left 3 weeks earlier than my mom. In my bedroom, and he waited till all of my children were around him, and my youngest daughter, when she spoke to him last, to tell him thank you for. We only knew him for 5 years.
Yeah.
But as soon as my youngest daughter was done speaking, I felt his heart stop in my hand,
Oh, wow.
and he left.
Yeah.
So
The Lord once told me in a urgent situation like that there's a lot of things going on in the unit and with this particular patient, and we were doing CPR on and off and doing all these things, and I asked the Lord, like, what's going on here? Like, I wanted to really understand from his perspective why this
What the context
situation
is, yeah.
was going on. And what he told me was, there's a lot more going on in the spirit realm than you're aware of. And what I need you to do is be obedient to when I tell you to act. And what I tell you to do, just do it, because trust me, there's a lot going on in the situation that you're not aware of. So I know those situations are moments that families always remember. They never forget what it was like when that person passes or when they were there. And there's just a lot more going on in the other realm than we're even.
It fills my heart to even to hear you say that you employ your faith.
Oh, you have to. And it sounds like your mom did too.
All the time.
I don't know how to do that job without Jesus.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it without you. It would be tough. An ICU nurse would be tough.
Yeah, I think people can get real cynical and you can get real hard to it. But when you're soft to it and understand that God's moving even in the midst of critical situations, then you can trust him with that.
I'm so glad to hear you say that you function with that.
Absolutely. I don't know how else to function.
Well, a lot of nurses leave their faith at the door when they come in.
Yeah.
Intellectually, sometimes it can look like the easier path, but there's so many times when you see God's hand move in people's lives. So it's a neat thing. I think your mom. I saw myself in your mom reading the story as she brought you home and made those decisions and trusted what she had been taught by Kenneth Hagin and walked through that. Like it was really neat to see it from that perspective.
That blesses me to hear.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, young lady, Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." Every day you go to that hospital, you get the opportunity to make peace. You are someone's peacemaker.
That's right.
You bring peace to that room every time you come in, and I am so grateful to hear you say that. I'm so glad we're doing this with a nurse.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's an honor to do that. I did want to encourage people to get this book because I don't even know if we scratched the surface yet.
Yeah, we're probably close on time, right?
We a little, but that's okay. We have plenty of time. I'd encourage you. This is the twists and turns in your life have brought you to where you are, and I think it's a testimony to God's goodness that even if you made a statement in here about like everybody thinks God has a plan B for your life, but he's just really good at reworking plan A till you follow it, until you get it. Thinking big picture about everywhere God's taken you, what God has done in your life and where you are now, which we didn't even get to there. You can counselor, you can feel that. Can't you feel the counselor coming off of them? Like, I just get that. The minister, the youth minister and the counselor and the pastor, it's all over you. And I know you give a lot of credit to your mom, get a lot of credit to God. One of the things that we rest our hat on here at Heritage is a statement that Dr. Seville made, making winners in life. That's what his ministry has been built on. That's what our life is built on. It's why we have a podcast, is because we want to be able to tell these stories that impact people in great ways and make winners out of their life. And it sounds like you're winning very well. So when you think about making winners in life, what does that statement mean to you?
I think people underestimate just how ordinary the disciples were.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
They were just
normal.
dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These 11 men were assigned with this massive task.
Right.
To be witnesses to this story and then go share it with the world.
Yeah.
And I think what making winners in life translates to is maybe drop the idea of you being responsible for carrying the gospel of Jesus to the world. And why don't you just reduce yourself down to taking the gospel of Jesus to your world?
Oh, wow. That's good.
Because your world needs to be impacted like the way the world does. Leave it up to the guys like Brother Copelan and Dad Hagin and Dr. Seville to take it to the world. But take Jesus to your world.
That's good.
And taking Jesus to your world, I think I said in that message I brought, one of the times I came to the church here, I believe God's a backwards God.
I think you did say that. I remember you saying that.
Because in the kingdom, the last is first. The greatest is the least. The master is the servant. If you want to get, then you give.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to live, then you have to die.
Yeah.
He uses the foolish to confound the wise. He uses the weak to confound the strong. Those are all backwards equations.
Yeah.
It's true.
None of them are. None of them make sense.
Yeah. In our natural world?
They don't.
Yeah.
Because in our world, you strive to be first. And oftentimes, especially in a carnal, secular world, people will step on other people to be first, to be highest, to be brightest, to be loudest, to be seen the most.
Yeah.
And if you want to make a winner, It requires a measure of authenticity that I think sometimes the world misinterprets, and maybe not because the church doesn't project it the right way. So the church tends to feel plastic.
Oh, yeah.
Or synthetic.
Right.
Fake.
Yeah.
And I'm just an ordinary guy.
Yeah.
I am nothing. If you remove Jesus, my mom, and my wife from my equation, I'm institutionalized. I'm an orphan.
Yeah.
I'm no one. But if you can embrace the idea of the backwards God,
Yeah.
you're not intimidated by being an orphan.
Yeah.
You're not intimidated by being last because God can make you first. You're not intimidated by being weak because God can make you the strongest. You're not intimidated by being the servant because God can make you the master.
Yeah.
Because that's the way his kingdom functions. And
Your life is a testimony to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
down to the details. Every single detail, God took what should have been an unwanted, unneeded, disposable child
Yeah.
and turned him into a minister of the gospel whose voice, because of the people that you've surrounded yourself with, the people that God put in your life, and because of your obedience, has brought you to a place where you get to impact thousands and thousands of people. So we are honored to be some of those people. So thank you.
humbled to share the time with you. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank you so much for
We
this
do have a
opportunity.
lot more. There's so much more to your story, and I would just encourage everybody to get the book and to spend time connecting with him.
Well, I would just tell folks, look, this woman prayed me through a brain tumor in 1989. I got very sick in school, my second year at school. Like I said a few minutes ago, my colon ruptured in 2009.
Yeah.
I called my mom the night my colon ruptured and said, hey, it's bad. I'd been septic and sick for 30 hours at that point, been leaking into myself for
Wow.
30 hours.
Yeah.
Had a 4-inch perforation in my colon,
Wow.
and I'd been septic for 30 hours. And when I called her, this is 5 minutes before I'm rolling away for surgery, where the surgeon has just come in with her attorney. The surgeon came with her attorney to the hospital and said, here's your will, you need to sign it, and here's you need to absolve me of your death before I take you back. I don't think you're going to survive the night. I called my mom with that news, and my mom said, I'll call you back.
Yeah.
I said, Mom, they're taking me in right now. This might be the last time we talk. She said, I'll call you back, and she hung up.
Tenacious faith.
And
Yeah.
the hospital bed was rolling me down toward the OR theater, and my wife, I hear the phone ring, and my wife runs down. The last thing I heard before that sedation hit me was my mom's voice, and she said, "This is the word of the Lord," and that's all I recorded, because I went under.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next day to my oldest daughter weeping over my face, and her tears on my cheeks woke me up.
Oh, wow.
So this woman she prayed me through so many things. And of course, my wife contended for me during that time as well. But
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
please, if you're interested in seeing the story of not only me, but then what happens afterwards, the seeds, the apple seeds that go
Yeah.
out afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So you guys heard it here. Get this book on Amazon, or you can get it here in the church bookstore.
it is.
We've got it there. Tune in next week, and we've got part 2.
Yeah. You
With
get your beautiful wife
Pastor
on here.
Canfield.
Yeah.
She's the better half of both of us, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get more from your story. We'll get more into the book. If you guys aren't following us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, remember to like and subscribe so you get that reminder to come back next week.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
until then, we'll see you then.